Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 714, Game of the Year 2024 special for Tuesday, the 14th of January 2025. I'm your host, Mark Webb, gamertag Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby360G, and joining me on this very special episode is...
It's Graham, or GHamox14.
2024, the worst year in video games history, Nick.
I wouldn't go that far. It's Sensei Switch.
I have to disagree with Nick there. I think 2024 was a really good year, to be honest.
Nah, every game was a Souls game.
Well, unless you're into JRPGs like myself, then it's been a very, very good year. For other games, okay, I'd say. But no, I'm pretty pleased with 2024, to be honest. So, yeah, all good. So before we start, just want to say hello to the people in the Twitch. There's not many people in there this evening.
I'm in there.
I was going to say hello to you, Nick. Nick, hello to Nick.
Hey.
Angelos GMB and Baggins143, first time chatter. Hope you're doing well, sir. Always nice to have some newbies. So, let's get into it. Game of the Year 2024. So, we have a top... Well, I did ask people to do a top 5 because lots of people don't have as much free gaming time as me, but I've actually done a top 10. I've done a top 10 and I've got 6 honourable mentions.
That's gone down from the 38 you normally have.
I'm going to save my honourable mentions for the end of the shows, because... was a beer all day. Baggins, I'm not going to answer any questions at the minute now. We are recording Game of the Year show. I've no tips for becoming a streamer because, as you can see, I've only got like 3 viewers, mate. So I'm probably the worst person in the world to ask for advice. I do apologise.
Keep at it, and even if you only end up having like 1 viewer and stuff, that's still good. Like, everyone starts from somewhere.
The trick is enjoy streaming and just do what you want to do for entertainment. If you keep worrying about the numbers, the people who are watching you will see that and just not bother watching because they'll think you're desperate.
Did you know the podcast in February will be 17 years? Been doing this podcast.
Yeah,
Wow.
It'll almost be legal.
I know, mate. How crazy is that? Wow. Okay, let's crack on then. So I've got a top 10. So what we're going to do a little bit different this year, because usually we all take it in turns to run down our top 5 or top 10. Oh, what was that? Baggins is now following. Well, thank you very much. But what we're going to do this year is take it in turns, round robin style. However, I've got 10 and no one else has, so I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. But when I get to 6... everyone else is going to start to chime in because Nick and Graham have got a top 6 and Darren's done it properly. Well done, Darren. And he's got a top 5. So Darren's the only one who got the memo, but we all like to cheat. So, you know, it is what it is. So shall we get cracking, guys?
Do it.
Okay. And I do apologise, there's probably going to be quite a few RPGs in my top 10. So, yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah. So, at number 10 is a game that I very much enjoyed. Persona 3 Reload. Number 10, Persona 3 Reload. Any of you guys play this? Or was it just me?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Got it. Not played it yet. It's like 80 hours long.
It is a long game. Really, really long. A good reason to have Xbox Game Pass, actually, because this is how I played it. I know I talked about it a lot this year. I absolutely loved it. So I'm a big fan of the Persona games. And I actually made sure I played this before Metaphor ReFantasio, because they're very similar. Made by the same people. Off the pace Wes, as we all know him in the community, did it the other way around and didn't enjoy Persona as much, and I can see why. But no, it's very retro because the original Persona 3, I believe, Darren, was it PS2?
I think, PS2 and PSP.
Yeah, wow. So very old game. Never played the original, but obviously they've done a remaster. It's not a remake, I don't think. It's just a remaster, but they've done a very good job with it. It is a long game.
Definitely brought the visuals up to the modern ones.
100%. 100%, mate. But no, I absolutely adored this game. It took me about 80 odd hours to complete. Lots of dungeon running, obviously, but it's just I love the Persona games. I mean, obviously I've played Persona 4, 5. Absolutely love those. Persona 4 Golden is probably still my favourite, but this is definitely up there. As I say, but yeah, number 10 for me. I don't think I need to mention any more on this because obviously I've talked about it a lot this year anyway. But a worthy game. If you've got Game Pass and you love RPGs, what are you doing? Check it out. If not, buy it. It's probably going cheap now anyway. Persona 3 Reload, everybody. Yeah, baby. Woo! That's number 10 done. Okay. Getting down. Number 9 then. No surprise that this game is in my list. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is my number 6. And
you're number 9, don't you?
I'm a number 9. Sorry, I don't know why. I don't know why I said 6 because it's called 6. Right? Yeah.
Black Ops.
Yeah. It's my number 9. I absolutely loved it. I'm still loving it. So obviously, love the campaign. I thought it was one of the strongest Call of Duty campaigns that they've done for quite a while. Really good era set in the 90s. Really enjoyable, really good levels. Didn't have too many of that open worldness from the previous games. There was, but very limited. And I'm still playing the online now. I was even playing it today. Played some multiplayer with Angelos this morning and played some Warzone with Peebs and Colin this afternoon. So the game is still going strong. They keep doing updates. The new Squid Game update on the Warzone and the multiplayer is really solid. Really enjoying Warzone and worthy to be at number 9.
I did see an amusing video that someone had posted from the Squid Game thing.
Oh, yeah.
Where some bloke was in the chat and he was playing the actual sound effects from the TV show down the mic, and people were getting caught out by it constantly.
Yeah. 100%, man. It's good fun. But no, they do have some good modes. Angelos has just reminded me that prop hunts in them. Prop hunts are really good game mode, and it's been one of those games that's brought back some people in the community that I hadn't gamed with for many years, like Rubbish Username as a prime example. So it's really, really good to see a lot of people playing it still, and yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. It's not, I do think that Call of Duty has gone very Fortnite though. The last 3-4 iterations.
You're on about like the weird character packs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's still a good fun game. It's on Game Pass now, so it's more accessible for people. And it's more just about, it's kind of the only game really that I know that if I hop on, I'm going to get to just chat shit with people and play because, people don't really game online as much as they used to in this community, busy lives, etc., completely understandable. But this just seems to be the one game that people just come back to because you can just drop in, drop out, have a few games, have a laugh with your mates and come off and watch fucking Love Island with the missus or whatever. So, yep. Call of Duty, fantastic game. That's my number 9. Cool.
Nice.
Number 8 then is... It is an expansion, but I do this pretty much every few years when an expansion comes out for this game. Been playing this game for nearly 12 years now, I believe. Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail came out not this year, in 2025. As Darren knows, me and Darren have been playing this together since 2013 when it launched. I've just resubscribed again this past week because they released
during the free return campaign as well. I bet you was well chuffed.
I know. Well, yeah, I resubbed, and then the next day I saw the login campaign thing. I was like, oh, you bastards! Typical. But I think, it's very rare for me to continue playing the same game for a year, let alone 12
over
years.
A decade, yeah.
Jesus Christ, man, it's a long time. But it's just like putting on that warm pair of fuzzy slippers. There's always new content coming out. And the Free Company, that's a guild for people that don't know, they're a good bunch of people. Not as busy as it used to be, but people are still there and always helpful and good to chat to. And I just like running the story stuff and the new raids and bits and pieces. And this expansion I did really enjoy. Obviously it was very hard to beat.
You seem to be in the minority. This seems to be the most divisive of the stories yet that they've done.
I think that's because it's so hard to come off that epic 10+ year payoff of all that other story content. But for what it was, I did enjoy it. I'm not a massive fan of the main hub area, but I enjoyed the story. I thought it was fun, and it was just a good excuse to get me back onto Final Fantasy XIV again. So, definitely, in my opinion, the best MMO ever made. So, yeah, Final Fantasy XIV, people. That was my number 8. Okay, number 7 then. This game needs no introduction to the PlayStation community, who obviously all love this game. Helldivers 2 is my number 7 game of 2024. And I know this is probably in some of your Game of the Year lists as well. So I'm going to be quiet now.
Maybe.
And we'll talk about it when it's in people's top 5s, okay? Because I know it's going to be, but that is my number 7, okay? Loving it. Loved it. Okay.
Cool.
Number 6 is another game that needs no introduction to the PlayStation/PC community. Unfortunately...
Concord.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. Unfortunately, this game probably will never see the light of day on the Xbox, unfortunately. And that game is not Concord. Even though Concord is a game that I did play for about 10 hours because I game tested it before it came out. Load of shite.
Maybe if you'd have told them that, they would have known.
Well, I did. I did tell them it was shit, but, who listens to little old Webby, eh?
They just call you a far-right leaning person and just ignore you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, dear.
That game is Black Myth Wukong.
Did you hear about what the developer said about one of the lead developers said why it's not on Xbox yet?
Yeah, because of the Series S doesn't have enough.
Yeah, he confirmed it. Yeah. They won't let them just have it on Series X.
Yeah.
Pretty stupid, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So Black Myth Wukong's not my number 6. Haven't finished it yet, though. It is very tough. I have only got a couple of chapters left, though, according to the walkthrough I checked out. And so far, done about 30 hours on it. Very enjoyable experience, but yes, very, very difficult. People compare it to Dark Souls, yes, in a way, kind of, where it's like the bosses are tough and you got to learn their move sets, but you kind of feel more powerful when you upgrade your staff and you get your magic powers and shit like that. And graphically, it's stunning. I'm playing it on PC. And what I like about it is, yes, it's tough, but it's also... There's no mini-map or waypoints or anything. You just got to explore the areas and figure out where the fuck you're meant to go, which just brings you to optional bosses, like mini-bosses, which you never even have to do. And the story's just really, really cool, to be honest. There's a really good cast of characters, really good voice acting. It is on Chinese mythology of the Monkey King, which I didn't really know anything about until playing this game. and then watching the kids' movie about it subsequently. But it's just really interesting. I'm just really liking it. The enemy design is just batshit crazy, really well done. But yeah, graphically, it's absolutely stunning. And I say the moves, like the way you move, it's just so precise. And, you know, when you die, it doesn't really feel unfair. It just feels like, oh, I didn't learn his move, or I did something wrong. I didn't dodge in time or block in time or whatever.
There's only one thing because I've actually started this the other day. I've only
excellent.
Played
Excellent.
Couple of hours of it, and there was one thing pretty early on I was pretty disappointed with.
Go on.
There's no blocking or perfect parries. It's all dodge based, from what I could work out.
Nothing wrong with a bit of dodging, mate. There is a block. I can't remember what the fucking button is.
There isn't one at the start of the game or near the start of the game.
Oh, because the way you dodge is like a perfect dodge, and it like goes into like this ghosty type mode, and then you can get behind them and do some massive moves and stuff, you know. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I think it's great, but yeah, you do get killed quite easily if you drop your guard. But I hope you enjoy it, Darren. I know you're only very early in, but it is quite a long game as well, though, mate. And I know you don't get a lot of gaming time on these sort of games, do you? Because you've got quite an eclectic. Well, you got a lot of dailies you got to do. That's it. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so yeah, it might do you well to finish, but Black Myth Wukong, as I say, it's just a really cool experience, and I think. Not worried. The thing that doesn't really worry me, but something I think that the developers need to kind of be worried about is these Chinese studios are doing a really good job at the minute with just putting out just good, solid games at launch, not needing day one patches. Characters all look good in that because
no agendas.
No agendas, yeah, because the last year or so has really proved that. Well, China have been pushing out more good games, or Asian devs have been pushing out really good games, whereas Western devs have not been. And this is becoming a worrying trend, I feel. So, hopefully 2025 proves me wrong, but you never know. I look at games like Avowed and I'm not hopeful, but we shall see. But yes, Black Myth Wukong, as I say, is a fantastic game, and it was in a few people's community votes as well. So I look forward to reading out that top 5 shortly. So anyway, we're at number 6 anyway, so I'm going to stop talking for a minute because my throat is fucking sore now with this cold. So I'm going to go to Nick. Oh, Graham, actually, sorry, that's the order, isn't it? I'm going to go to Graham.
Yeah, Roger.
And then for Graham's number 6 game.
Well, my number 6 game, and a lot of you out there listening are going to go, what the fucking hell is this guy on? But I played a little indie game. I played a little indie game one Friday, and it was exactly what I needed at the time. Thank goodness you're here. Now, I got back, I had a bit of a crappy day at work, sent out for pizza, opened a beer, and I just downloaded this game. And it is very short. It's only like 2.5 hours, but I think it was about 11 quid. Bonkers, stupid, simple, but sort of deceptively more complex than it looks. But just absolutely crazy, but absolutely worth a look.
I remember you talking about this on the podcast actually at the time, Graham, and it's a game that I had like just on my radar a little bit, and it just looks wacky because it's that really weird kind of cartoon art style, isn't it? And you're like a little miniature dude or something, and you.
Well. Sometimes you're miniature and sometimes you're big, but it's
right.
It's very, very surreal. It's whatever the narrative needs you to be is what you are, but your size does change throughout the game.
All right.
And it's simple. It's just 2-button gameplay, but it's like a slimmed down adventure game, basically. But just it's absolutely crazy. But I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad it made your
It might not be for everyone.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
It just looks funny.
Yeah, it's good.
Nice. Nick, you're number 6.
Yeah, my number 6. I only just finished that recently. And hang on, where's it? So, Indiana Jones. Is that in anyone else's top 5?
Well, we can talk about it now. That's fine. I think that's. I only skipped mine, mate, because it was in the, 6 to 10. You know what I mean? So I wanted to wait for the top kind of 6 chats to get the ball rolling on the discussions. Great game, mate. I think it was a lot of fun. Definitely not. I know it was a few people's game of the year. I don't think it's worthy of a game of the year, in my opinion. But no. I think it was very well done, and I think my part, I was pleasantly surprised because I'm a big fan of the movies. I'm not sure if you guys are. We're all similar age, so I'm sure we all are.
The first 3 movies, obviously, not the latest ones.
Shitty one. But, after that initial worry when they showed it and we thought it was going to go a bit on the woke side, and to be proved wrong on that, so happy. So fucking happy, man. I know there was a few people had some glitches on it with bosses. I had a glitch at the beginning, crashed my Xbox.
Yeah, so were them.
That was it. But on the whole,
no game breaking glitches though, just a few weird things. Like the one I posted where you were fighting the boss and he just started spinning into the ground for no, and then spun back up the reverse way. And I thought, this is weird. And also, like I said, I mean, from what I thought, I was expecting it to be good because it's part of Xbox, but obviously there's the Wolfenstein people who made it. Yeah. So that's why I couldn't work out why it was first person, and I still don't really like it. It doesn't feel right because you're flipping between like really good cinematic cutscenes and stuff like that, and I just this should have been third person, but it is what it is. Like I said, I think the voice acting, especially Harrison Ford and the mate, was just brilliant. I say they got him spot on, they got him to do it, but
yeah, they did.
It's just they're getting so close with these, facial animations now. It's like, I felt like I would have rather just watched like a Netflix TV series rather than play the game, because I was really enjoying the cutscenes and the story, but the gameplay was just a bit boring. Like, once you actually got into the tombs and you were doing the puzzles and stuff like that, that was pretty cool and interesting. And I think the first level, which everyone hated the most, where you're at the Vatican, that is probably the worst level in the entire game.
Yeah, because you do go to some really good locations in the game. The only negative I would say on it is there's too much sneaking around.
Yeah, I hated the stealth because I didn't think it was going to be a stealth game at all. From none of the videos made me think it was going to be. It felt like Thief on like PS2, and also it controlled like it as well. Just some of from what I was expecting from a big budget AAA game. Yeah, and I know you said you played it on. Did you say you played it on PC though, Webby? So
I mainly played it on Xbox, but I did play some of it on PC as well.
Some of it, like the animations, like you're swimming, and when you get in and out of the water section, rather than slowly get up and slowly go down or fall, it just sort of judders up and down. Like there was no animation of getting in and out of the water, so just a few little bits like that, which is just weird. Yeah. And like I said, the controls, I got up to the last level and I was still Googling on what the controls were, like how to reload the gun.
Jesus.
And that was just that was in the Google, that was in predictive search as well.
Wow.
So it's just reload has always been X for years.
Yeah.
And they just changed some of the buttons.
Yeah.
Like, you open your map up, rather than press a button, you have to hold a button, to bring up the map. It's just like... I mean,
apart from those little issues, but
it's just a few little bits. I understand, like you said, the guns were crap in it. I just never felt useless. Like, plus, you never had enough ammo as well with any of the guns you got.
Well, I never used the guns because you fire off a shot and then it alerts every single guard, and then you die, and then you have to restart your checkpoint anyway.
Yeah, you pretty much die instantly. But then some of the stuff, I thought, you know what? Saw it, and I just legged it a few times and got to checkpoints and just tried. And I think a lot of the levels, like the sneaky stuff, I just fluked it because I thought, it was trying to be really good at stealth, but when has Wolfenstein ever been stealthy?
Yeah, I know, but they did something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just get the impression that they made this a lot more shooty. Being a first-person shooter developer, and they just got told to cut it all out last minute, so that's why that just felt unbalanced.
Yeah, as I say, I never really did any shooting throughout the whole game.
No, because like I said, as soon as you did it.
But no, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. To be fair,
it was it was on Game Pass, so I bought 3 months Game Pass, and I played 3 different games, so theoretically I got my money's worth. If I'd have bought this brand new for 60, 70 quid, I'd have really been disappointed.
Yeah. But no, I think it was a decent game, to be fair.
Did you like the final boss fight as well with the German guy when he's like, I know karate, and then he was doing
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler saying what he was doing?
Well, maybe a tiny bit, but...
Yeah, people know,
it was.
And you thought, that was funny, and I don't know if you would go. That was the best part of the whole boss fight, actually, just that little joke. So
yeah. But no, I'm trying no more spoilers. But no, interesting. It was an interesting game, great story, really good locations.
I just didn't like the controls.
Oh, I mean, the controls, I didn't mind. I thought that was
just a few bits, like when you pick up stuff, you pick up a key, you have to press X to look at it, and then you press X to pick the key up, and then when you get to a door, you press the X. Oh, you want to use a key? Press right for the key button, and then you open the key, and then you find the key, and then you have to press another button to put it in the lock, and then you have to press. I think
you're complicating things. You're literally you click on the door, and then you click right on the thumbstick to turn the thing.
No, you didn't. You didn't. Maybe that was different on PC, but you didn't. But then the other games I play, you've got the key, you walk up to it, you press unlock, it just unlocks it. It seems. It just seems like something.
I think you're just moaning a bit too much, mate.
I like to moan. That's what I'm here for.
Nah, I thought it was good, personally. Yeah, I
said good, not great. A good, solid 6 out of 10 game.
And that's why it's your number 6.
Yep.
There we go. So, where are we?
Your number 6.
Did I say my number 6? Yeah, it was
you've done a 6.
Yeah.
All right, fair.
So now we're on to 5s.
So we're down to number 5. So, since we're down to 5, I think we should let Darren go because...
Well, that'll just screw up the thing. Just keep it as it was going, otherwise it's going to get confusing.
Oh, you want it to be me?
Yeah.
You want it to be me, don't you? All right.
Oh, I want to go and get a drink.
So you're not going to know what my number 5 is then?
Well, I'm taking you with me. I'm just going to mute myself.
All right. Number 5 then is a game that is in many people's top 5s. PlayStation exclusive. Absolutely loved it. With my boy, Astrobot.
Wow, I thought that'd have been higher.
No. It's only there because there's other better games that came out this year, unfortunately. I know this is probably, is this in any, I mean, if it, okay, don't tell me if it's in your top 5s, but we're just going to talk about these games now. Then if it is in your top 5, we'll just fluff through, yeah? So
it's not in mine.
Okay, that's fine. So yes, Astrobot, quite a surprising addition for me, actually. Well, quite surprising just in general for me this year, because I didn't think a game like this would be in my top 5. But my boy and I have just loved playing this together. So since it come out in September, we've enjoyed it that much. We've got 3 game saves on it, and in 2 of those game saves, we've 100%ed it, and we're over halfway on the 3rd game save now. Only because my boy loves just doing the levels and discovering all the bots again. Obviously, they've added some DLC with the speed levels and more little bots to unlock. It's just a very charming game. It's just so well designed. All the levels are really, really cool. It kind of reminds me of PlayStation's Mario in a weird way, because some of the moves Astrobot does do remind me of some moves that Mario does do. The levels, as I say, are very well designed. There's lots of little secrets in there, secret robots, secret places to visit. The world map's done really well. It's like you're in space and you visit different planets. The secret planets was like a whole secret solar system in there. But it's just, as I say, charming. Like nothing's really the same, because the different different levels have different gameplay mechanics. You get different tools to use. Some of them are like side scrolling. They're in different, as I say, some of them are in like the snow, or some are in desert, some are green, lush. But yeah, it's just very much like a 3D Mario game, but Astrobot. And I love the fact that the home planet, it's a giant PS5 and it's a spaceship, and you're working towards repairing it. And then all the little robots you collect are like all these characters that just you loved from the past, like not Final Fantasy, but like the Metal Gear characters and Resident Evil characters and Crash Bandicoot, and I could go on
the nostalgia then.
Yeah, it really hits on the nostalgia big time. But also the haptics on the controller is probably, apart from Astrobot's Playroom, it's the best game that makes the most of the PlayStation 5 controller with the haptic feedback. Even like all the little raindrops hitting the umbrella and all that sort of stuff just feels fucking amazing, So it's such a showstopper for the system, and it just makes me wish that more games on the PS5 utilise the controller more, like the Astrobot games do. So yeah, it's a fantastic game.
How does it compare to Sackboy that was out? Because you played that a year or two ago.
I love Sackboy. Yeah, I think this is way better. For obviously all the reasons I've said. I mean, I don't discount Sackboy. It's a great game, but you can tell that this is made with a labour of love. Just the way it's designed. And it's just nice to get a game again. It come out at launch, working. It just kind of brought me back to the golden era of video games for myself, to be honest. So yeah.
Oh, well, no, I just can't pay £65 for it.
Well, when it's on sale, mate, I recommend.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing I get that on sale.
I didn't pay that much for it. I don't remember paying that for it.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Well, whether it was cheaper,
45 or something. Yeah, I can't remember.
Maybe. I mean, also that got what was it? Game Awards Game of the Year as well. So.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
the unofficial Game of the Year, obviously.
Of course, we are the only game in the year that counts. I just want to say hello to Clark, who's joined the stream. Hope you're doing well. Says it reminds him of Mario Galaxy a little bit. Yeah, he's not far wrong. But yeah, Astrobot is my number 5. Fantastic game. I take it. Did any of you other guys? Did you play it, Graham?
I did indeed.
And
it might be on my list.
Well, we'll talk about it with me now, so we can. I don't want to talk about the same game twice. Like what?
Well, no, I mean the only problem. I did love the haptics. It was very, very good. But for me, it was a bit bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because it was like, hey, do you remember games like Vib Ribbon and Karushi?
Oh, yeah,
I do. Well, obviously Sony don't, because they haven't touched those properties for the last 15 years, you know?
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just annoying you they're not making. It's annoying you that they're not making any more of these games, that they're teasing you, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many games, and I'm like, oh my God, I remember that game. And it's like, why are they not making this game in 2024 or 2025, you know?
Yeah.
They've got such a rich history, and they seem to have just picked all the games which are just really very safe, almost.
Samey,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, samey and similar.
It's all, you know, Call of Duty and just games which just look like all the other games. Do you know? It's just a little bit frustrating, but it was very charming.
Yeah. Amazing game. Okay, then. So, that was my number 5. So,
Graham's number 5.
So, what's Graham's number 5?
Well, my number 5 is, again, it's a little indie, bizarre game. Everybody likes Vampire Survivors, but I found a game that came out a couple of months ago, which is called Vampire Hunters, and it's basically like Vampire Survivors if Vampire Survivors was a first-person shooter. And again, it's just one of those that the visuals do look a bit rough. It looks like a very early PC game or an Amiga game almost in 3D. It's a bit rough, but it's one of those where you're going to have a quick 10-minute go and you end up spending half an hour on it. Do you know what I mean? It's that real, just one go, I'll have another go on it sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've put loads of hours into this, and it's a real switch your brain off and just watch things explode sort of game.
Is it a tower defense or is it just wave based?
It's mainly sort of waves, but you kind of as you shoot the bad guys, they drop these like orbs, which are your XP points, and when you pick them up, you basically, every time you hit a level sort of jump, you select either another passive slot or another weapon, and you have 4 weapon slots on each hand, so you can have up to 8 guns on the screen at once. And it's a bit like Vampire Survivors. It starts off very, very sedate, and then after about 10 minutes, there's just shit flying all over the screen, and you can't see what you're doing. But no, I've put loads of hours into this, and it's just my sort of it's my sort of chill, I don't have to think game. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I do remember you talking about this as well. Scott, is it one of those like you don't have to fire with the triggers that auto shoots, very much like Vampire Survivors as well?
Yes, it is. Yeah. You have an option, and you can turn that off if you want to press the triggers, but it defaults to the triggers being automatically sort of on all the time, basically.
Right, okay.
But no, it's just, I mean, I would say some of the character designs, pretty ugly, honestly, really. But it's just the gameplay for me, which just sort of shines through. It's just silly. It's just over the top. It's got loads of unlockables. And again, it wasn't very expensive. Again, I think it was about 10 or 11 quid.
Yeah.
And I just haven't put it down. It's just really, really good. It reminds me of the games of old.
Games of yore. Okay.
Yeah. But there you go.
Vampire Hunters. There we go. Nick.
Definitely worth a look if you're into that.
Awesome. Nick, what's your number 4? 5? 4? We're on 4.
5.
5. Sorry, yeah, 5. Sorry, I'm losing the plot. What's your number 5?
Black Ops 6.
Oh, yours is on here as well. Talk to me then, mate. Yeah. Why is it there?
Well, that's just because the last few have been a bit and you played it. Whereas this one, the campaign was decent. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get back to the the peak campaigns of the first few Modern Warfares and Black Ops, but this was like a decent one. It wasn't rushed or anything like that. And the multiplayer is back on. I've been playing that like a lot, and then with you guys as well. And it's just fun. They don't seem to have overcomplicated it like some of the other ones.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I can't remember which COD it was where it forced you to use other guns to get upgrades for the guns you actually wanted to use.
Oh,
do you remember that one?
No, I don't, mate.
That was a few back, and I thought that's stupid because I tend to like find one gun I like and just stick with like one or two guns. I'll have this gun with this sight and maybe a shotgun for certain maps, like Nuketown or something like that. And I remember the other one, it was just like, oh, if you want to upgrade that, you've got to use a sniper rifle and get like 100 kills with that. And I'm like, what's going to take me forever? I'm never going to get 100 sniper kills with it because that's not... Well, I don't know. I get why they did that because they wanted everyone to try all the guns.
Yeah.
But this one, I just think they've just gone back to standard CODs. But until they put all the Squid Game stuff in it, which is... it doesn't affect it too much. Apart from I can't win Squid Game though. Maybe I can't do red light.
Well, they have actually. I know we've already talked about Black Ops already, but I'll just briefly mention. Yeah, the Squid Game stuff. It has actually broken the Warzone.
Has it?
Yeah. So basically, there's a Resurgence Island that Colin likes to go on, but it's broken at the minute. You can't join it in a party. It just crashes every time, and they still haven't fixed it. So we're having to play the Squid Game Warzone mode, which is actually quite fun, but it has upset quite a few people that they've busted the main kind of Resurgence game mode for parties. But no, I've already mentioned, it is an awesome game, so yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to work like flawless, especially, I know they've had it for a few years now, and I think it was iffy the first launch week with some crashes. One at Black Ops, I think we played with did we play with Peeps and these kept crashing to desktop?
Oh yeah, that's right.
For the first week, but it seems pretty flawless. Like, so you're playing on PC, I'm playing on Xbox, and other people are playing on like PS5, and that seems to work. And I always enjoy things like that because we can't all have every console for everything, can we?
Yeah, that's it. Cool.
Yeah, good
awesome,
game,
mate. Thank you very much. Darren, number 5.
My number 5 was a game that came out very early last year.
Ooh.
So much to the fact that I wasn't even sure it was a 2024 game until I sort of looked and was like, oh yeah, that did come out very early on in the year. That's a game called Sandland.
Oh, yes, I remember you talking about this. Yes.
Tell me about it. It flopped like mad.
Did it?
Did it?
Oh, it sold like crap. You get it for like 10, 15 quid.
It's a shame because it's really, really good. It's basically like a story about an area of the world that's kind of been reduced to like a sandy desert. And you're there as like the son of the Demon King, Beelzebub, or I imagine that's how he's pronounced in the game anyway, because I sort of played it with Japanese language. And you team up with a bunch of rather random, strange people, like a sort of like weird thief that looks like a debauched sort of Santa Claus, and an old man who's like an old soldier from one of the previous wars that happened. And you go around looking for a mythical oasis that's supposed to be out in the desert somewhere, and you've got like another army faction knocking around trying to do the same thing. This is based on a manga by Akira Toriyama, who sadly passed away this year. Or last year, should I say. And I found it just great fun pretty much all the way through. The vehicle combat felt really fluid and whatchamacallit, not sort of like obstructive. You sometimes get in games and like the horrible tank controls and stuff, but you can muck around with all the different vehicles as well. You can switch the wheels out, the engines and stuff on the back of them to give them extra speed and traction, and you can switch in them out in and out of the different vehicles using capsules, because it's obviously Toriyama. He likes putting things in instant capsules, if you know Dragon Ball.
Okay.
In fact, the Satan that's in this, the father, looks pretty much like Diablo from the Boo saga in Dragon Ball. Yeah, all of it. The vehicle combat was fun. The hand-to-hand combat stuff was reasonably well done as well. The game wasn't overly long, although it did have you sort of like backtracking across different areas here and there to sort of do various missions that you'd get unlocked as it went along. The character development for all of the different people was really well executed as well. Some of the characters that start off being a bit of an idiot, sort of like you warm to them as the game goes on, and then sort of like you actually like them by the end. So yeah, it performed really well, like on the PS5 on the base. Like it didn't have any performance issues as well. It looked great, ran great. I think it does across all platforms that it was on, because I think it's on everything bar Switch.
Oh, okay.
Kind of thing. Yeah, so it is a shame if it didn't sell particularly well, but maybe that was the fact that there was like the typical sort of beginning of the year games that sort of start.
Also, so did you? Because we played the demo of this, didn't we?
Yes, the demo that didn't tell you anything.
Yeah, it didn't tell you anything or do anything. I just remember like, what am I supposed to do? I'm just running around attacking people for no reason, and it was like some sort of beta test of like the fighting mechanics or something. It just didn't give you anything to do. And when I looked online, I was like, am I missing something? Am I supposed to go somewhere? I was just looking at loads of like Twitter and Reddit. It's like, what am I supposed to do? I was like, nothing.
Yeah, no, they gave you a slice of the opening of the game, but without the actual opening of the game and any of the tutorials.
Yeah, so no one knew what they were supposed to go, what they were supposed to do.
Like, I didn't know you could summon vehicles. I didn't know what buttons would bring them up. So you were just kind of willy-nilly like pushing buttons and.
Yeah, you just thought they would make a proper demo, like give you a little tutorial. This is what you're supposed to do, and at least give you a few, checkpoints and objectives. Go over here and talk to this dude. But it just wasn't anything. So it was like a really poor demo. Whereas when you think of the opposite of, when Stellar Blade brought a demo out, that really sold what the game was. If you see what I mean, it just gave you about an hour and a half or so of pretty much the start of the game. And you just think, so maybe that could have something to do with it. Plus, like I said, it came out when loads of other games were coming out as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that is actually a bonus is, like you were talking about the checkpoints, is there's a few areas where you have to sort of stealth about. So you sort of sneak into army bases to take components and other bits like that, and there's obviously guards doing their patrol routes and searchlights, all the usual gumph. But I was quite happy to know if you ever get caught in those situations, you don't get thrown out of the entire camp and have to do all that shite again. It just puts you back to a pretty generous checkpoint.
I think the other problem is
even get too frustrating with that.
I think the other problem is it's not really something that many people know about in the West, especially like most people are like, what the fuck is Sandland? You know what I mean? I think that's probably got something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm surprised people weren't interested because this was like Toriyama's last sort of thing he was kind of working on alongside early parts of the new Dragon Ball season.
Have no idea who this Toriyama dude is in the West. You know what I mean?
You'd be surprised. Yeah, but everyone knows Dragon Ball Z. You can't know about anime without knowing about Dragon Ball Z.
But you sometimes know about the thing, but you don't know always
the creator or whatever.
Exactly. A lot of people, like some of my favourite things like that, you don't always know who that is, especially if you're younger.
True.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm sure when the game was coming out, loads of people talked that it was from him and stuff, because it did actually help sort of like push it a bit more.
Right. Thank you, Darren. Okay, let's move on to our number 4s then. Okay. I do apologise to Clarky in the Twitch chat because you're probably going to fall asleep with me talking about another JRPG. Number 4 is a game that was fucking amazing, and it's not really like a proper JRPG, it's more like a strategy game. Unicorn Overlord.
Next.
Ha! So good. So fucking good. I know I banged on about it in this past year when I was playing it. I don't think I've ever played a game like it in my life. And that's what I loved about it. Like, proper strategy game. So basically, just a very quick rundown, because I know I talked about it in previous podcasts. You have an overworld, and then basically you start off and you got to build your army. You then have units that you like. So basically, like, your army's spread out into lots of different units, and then you can put like people in that unit up to a maximum of 6 later on in the game. And every person in that unit has different specialities. So, you know, you got like a warrior, like a big defender guy with a shield. You got lancers, you got bow and arrow people, mages, etc. All have their strengths and weaknesses against other units. So you got to kind of make them in such a way where they're going to trounce the enemy. Has a really good story. Absolutely loved it. Very Game of Thronesy, really. There is no fucking unicorns in this, right? So this is the thing, right? When you hear of this game, it's called Unicorn Overlord. You think, fucking hell, that sounds like it's for 12-year-old girls. But it's actually not. The whole story is basically... Well, not the whole story. Basically, the unicorn word comes from basically... There's a sacred magical ring in the game called the Ring of the Unicorn. That is literally the only unicorn thing in the game, okay? Yeah, great. I say the art style is absolutely beautiful. And as I say, I loved the open map, which you can explore, because I did every single side quest on that map that I could find. I explored 100% of the map. I just absolutely love this game. Yeah, I've even got the achievement to prove it. Yeah, 100% of the map. It's just because it's just so gorgeous. You just want to explore it. And basically, as part of the game, apart from the battles, you got to... Well, you don't have to, but I wanted to do it. You can repair all the towns that have been damaged by war. So what happens is as you're exploring the map, you collect goods, and then you give those goods to the towns, and then it helps them to repair. Once those towns are 100% repaired, you actually do get some benefits to that. So if it's a port, like a ship will appear, and that ship can take you to like a secret island, which will give you some cool stuff, etc. So that's really worth doing. A lot of the side quests are really good stories for some of the characters you meet. They're really good. It's a really great way of getting more units for your army. And then, as I say, the main story has a lot of twists and turns, and wow, it's just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, as I say, it's number 4. If this hadn't have been such a good year for other games that I've played, this would have been my number 1, but unfortunately, it's stuck at number 4. But what a game. Unicorn Overlord. Amazing.
I suppose the only downside to it is the only platform it's not on is PC.
Yeah, because it would have been really good to play on the Steam Deck, but Atlas, being Atlas, only released games on console. It's on the Switch. Yeah, it's on the Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox.
But to be honest, one of the first Japanese role-playing games I played was very similar to that, where the fact you control units, and it was very strategic. It was called Warsong.
Oh, okay.
On the original Mega Drive, years ago, in 1990, 91, something like that.
Nice. I mean, the thing that I loved about it, I do love a good JRPG, but this isn't, as I say, it's a tactical war game, basically. And I just haven't played anything like it before. I know there's some people compared it to a game called Advance Wars, I think.
Yeah, you got Advance Wars, Fire Emblem as well is another one, and but they're generally about the commanders and not actually like having someone with a load of units with them.
Right.
Where you'd have a certain person who's like the leader of the cavalry, and that's all he really has as his units.
Okay. But no, I loved it because I had like a very Game of Thronesy feel to it, with the voice acting and just the way the world map is set up into sections where, you know, the Empire have got that section of the map and you've got to claim it back, and then you're moving around the map and claiming those territories back. I just loved it. I just thought it was a really cool game. So highly recommend it.
There's quite a few games in that genre to actually, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, there's like quite a few of them.
I think the problem is just time. I mean, this game took me, 70 hours maybe, 60, 70 hours or something silly. So probably just don't have the time. I mean, it's one of those games like in an evening, I was just playing it a couple of hours in an evening while the wife was putting the kids to bed, basically, and that's how I got through it. But yeah, fantastic game. That is my number 4. So going to move on to Graham now.
Well, my number 4 came out very, very early in the year, so I actually had to check to make sure it was a 2024 game. But I only picked it up in the summer, sort of pre-owned, I think it was, or in a sale, I can't remember. Tekken 8. Now, I've always been a big fan of the Tekken games, and I saw it was like 70 quid, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy it for 70 quid. But I think it was like, I don't know, 25 or 30 in the summer. And this game, I've sort of put it down, and I have actually gone back to it this week. But this game is just awesome. It looks great. It plays great. It's got a ton of content. And what do you need to know? It's Tekken. It's just fairly accessible. And at the same time, it's sort of got that level of complexity if you want to learn all the combos and get really deep with it. But what a fantastic looking game, though.
I wasn't expecting this game to be in anyone's top 5, to be honest.
I bet you would.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah. Would say, Darren?
I said, I own it. It is a good game. I'm just not as much of a fan of like sort of 3D fighters as I am like 2D.
No, but I really like it, and I say if people are interested, I would imagine it's probably pretty cheap out there at the minute, and it's well worth your time, I think. It's got a lot of content.
It's like story modes, time attack, all that sort of stuff, isn't it, as well? And
yeah, and it's got like your arcade quest, which is a bit like a mini RPG where you talk to people and learn sort of techniques, and you sort of basically beef up your online character for online play and sort of go up in sort of rank. But no, there is a lot there, and it is, I think it was the first game on the consoles to launch in Unreal Engine 5, so it does look really, really good as well.
It doesn't do that general fighting game thing where it holds back all the characters in fucking character packs.
Yeah, it did.
There are 4 characters.
They all do now.
There are 4 characters, I think, but there is a fairly decent roster anyway, with the exception, I think, Heihachi was one of the downloadable characters, which did piss me off a little bit.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Because the game was 25 quid, I was sort of prepared to take a punt on it and maybe get the pack later on if it dropped in price.
I'm pretty sure Tekken 8 Gold Edition will be out this year. Just normally,
I reckon so.
But
probably
it's usually Willie. Yeah, but there you go, an unusual choice there.
Yeah. Right, Nick, what's your number 4?
Well, number 4, another like remasters, a Tomb Raider 1 to 3 trilogy remaster. I think that came out February. I want to say it came out February because they've announced the 4, 5, and like 6 from PS2 are getting another this treatment this year, which is nice. I mean, but like I said, I mean, I did sort of break my rule when I bought this because it was digital only, but it was like 22 quid for like all 3 games, all HD'd up, and I thought, well, for that price, I might as well. To be honest, it's just easier to play them than like trying to get them to run. And like obviously these old PS1 games, especially when you look, in your brain, they still look like PS5 games, and you go back to them, and you're like, what the fuck is this shit? I can't play this. And but I mean, it's still got the old the awful tank controls, which I get used to. Which it does annoy me because they always give Resident Evil games like, oh, it's got tank controls and they're awful. I'm like, you want awful controls? Play the first 5 Tomb Raider games.
Didn't they change the controls for these remasters? They give you the option.
They did a slight like modern version, like modern controls, and it doesn't work that well.
Okay.
Because you still kind of have to press jump at the perfect time. Whereas like older games, you just run and just press jump, and they'd just be a lot more forgiving. Whereas this, it's like go up to the edge, turn Lara perfectly straight, and I think that's why she had triangle tits, so they could like point where you're jumping and things like that. But obviously they've done that, and you can just press like at the flick of a button, like between the old controls and the new controls. Which is fun. It's just, I streamed through the first one, and it's just weird how a game that I think I played it a bit later, so it would have been like probably a year later, so like 97. So a game I played like nearly 30 years ago, I can like remember it all. Yet a game I played like 6 months ago, I've forgotten most of it. I remember all the levels. Oh, I remember this bit. I remember what's coming now.
Why? Because now we always get so distracted with our phones and shit. We're
that's true.
100% concentrating on what we're playing or watching. Whereas when we're younger, we didn't have those distractions. So it's like literally you're focused on that screen.
Yeah.
That's my theory anyway.
Yeah, it did annoy me a bit, which is why I won't be buying the next one on launch, is because they were like, oh, it's digital only, we're not doing physical. And then they released it on disc like October. And it was fairly cheap as well. Like, I think you can get it for like 20, 25 quid. And I'm like, oh, so the next one, I'll wait for it to be on disc. Because I prefer to get these like on disc. So, so if you can't for some reason download it, you can't play it anymore, can you?
Well, to be fair, are all 4 or 3 of the games on the disc?
Well, when it was digital, none of them were they?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is but usually they sell a fucking disc and they put like one of the games on. You have to download it.
These ones have got all and like, well, at the time, the latest version. I don't know if they've done another patch, but there's like I think there's a website and they've got like a Twitter account. Like, I can't remember what it's called now, but it tells you if like the game's on a disc or something. So that tells you, which not many, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just nice. Like I said, like it'll be a theme for most of the games. My games is it's just like the nostalgia of just playing these games that are just it's just an adventure game with really interesting puzzles. They're not trying to force anything else on you, especially like DLC. I mean, because the last Tomb Raider came out 2018.
Oh, okay.
So it's a good 7 years ago, and it just looked great. I'm not, graphics wise, but none of that. These new ones, none of them are really that memorable. I think maybe the first one, the first reboot they did, with the plane and stuff like that, that was pretty decent. But the next ones, I thought, I can't remember. It's not really leaving much of an impact, but we shall see when they announce the new Tomb Raider this year.
Awesome. Cheers, Nick.
So that's my 4.
Yeah. Darren, back to you. Number 4.
Oh yeah, 4. I was thinking it was at 3 already, but hey. Yeah, my number 4 is The First Descendant.
Oh.
I've put over like 700 odd hours into the game.
Bloody hell. Can I just say one thing? I'm quite surprised, Darren, that this is in your top 5, purely because there is no physical release and it is a game as a service, and you normally don't like those sort of games.
No, it's a free-to-play.
Yeah, if it's free, that's fair. We'll play a free game.
There's no gacha mechanics, which is one of the things. You're not particularly like gambling for limited time stuff.
Yeah.
You can earn all the characters by just playing the game. It's there for just people who don't want to do the grind.
Yeah. Fair dues.
So I've earned every single character. I haven't paid. Actually, tell a lie. I think one of them I may have because I had extra coins or something.
Okay.
That I had, but I would have got them eventually anyway. So that's like obviously all the Ultimate Descendants.
Yeah.
And for it, the content is repetitive. It always will be in these type of games. So in that case, it generally will come down to how well the game plays, how it feels to play.
Yeah.
And it does feel good to play.
Yeah.
The aesthetic's pretty interesting. Like the setup, the story's kind of meh, the usual sort of thing. But all the characters are interesting. They're all good to play as well.
Good graphics.
It's Unreal Engine 5 again, isn't it?
Looks great. Sexy bitches. I mean, what else can you say, really?
And obviously the gunplay. And the weapons are pretty interesting as well as the characters' abilities as well.
Yeah. See, I enjoyed going through the main campaign on this with you. Very much enjoyed our time together, Darren. But then it's just the same for me. Like, I get to the end of the story and I'm just like, I just can't be fucked to replay shit just to get more characters. It just has no meaning to me. But that's just a personal choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's there if you enjoy the gameplay because, like I said, you are doing a lot of repetitive stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
It has downsides, like obviously people are having issues with the RNG drops for some of the stuff. But even when the game seems to just continuously give it to you raw, we'll say, eventually it will come.
Yeah.
And then you'll have it something where like, oh, I then got the next thing I was after the first time. And then the next thing the first time. And then it starts to balance back in the other way. It's just the way these games kind of work.
Yeah.
But it's done on purpose to stretch it out and get you playing it. And the more you play it, the more you play the characters, you try the characters out, you level the weapons up, the characters, etc., etc. They're going to be adding new content to it as well next week or this coming week, which adds another character and some extra mission type as well.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. I mean, I think it's a great game, as I say. I just
it does piss me off in the fact that I know at some point this game will cease to be.
Yeah, well, that's like many games. But so will our lives, Darren. Our lives will expire one day, so I've given up caring now.
Fucking hell.
I know, just be on a sad note.
Jesus. A cold's not that bad, is it?
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so before we move on to top three, I'm just going to take a little break, grab a whiskey to celebrate our top three, and also read out the community top five as well. So we will be right back.
This is 360G. 360G declared filthy in 20 countries. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Okay, I'm back from my break. I have a whiskey. Woohey. Time for our top three and then the community's top five. Good times. Nectar from the gods. Okay. Number three then, from Webby. Oh, this was a toughie to do the top three, guys. I'm telling you now. There was a lot of great games this year, but I managed to get a top 3. So, number 3 is a game that came out very early in the year, but it's a game that I loved. And it could have, as I say, all of these could have been my game of the year, but I had to put them in an order. This game is Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I absolutely love this game from beginning to end. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the Yakuza games. I know these games have gone in a slightly different direction with the fighting change to turn-based, which I actually really like, and a new character. However, this game brought back characters from the original Yakuza games. I'm not going to give any spoilers away. However, it does a really good job. If you're like me and you've gone through years of playing through all the games, and there's been a lot of games now, like 9 or something, you know, you've kind of gone through a journey with the original characters from the original games. And then you get to the end, because this was, shall we say, an ending to that story of some certain characters from the original games. What else can I say, man? I just thought it was just absolutely brilliant. I loved the setting of Hawaii. It was such a departure from the traditional Yakuza type games, which have all been set in pretty much one location in Japan. Moving out of that to America was weird. However, it did actually work really, really well in the end. And it did have its wackiness. I loved like all the side stuff. Like one of my favourite side missions I've mentioned before is basically you got to get on a tram that goes around the island and take pictures of men in pants jumping out of bushes and stuff. Fucking
sounds
weird.
Like your holiday in Australia. Right?
Well, yeah, I know it sounds weird, but it's like all the other Yakuza games, right? It has a very serious main story. However, all the side stuff is just batshit crazy weird. It's that kind of Japanese weird sense of humor, which I just find hilarious the way they are. So, I really enjoyed that. The main story, as I say, was really well done. Graphics amazing. And then they had this whole other side thing on this island where you got to build up a hotel from a 1-star to a 5-star hotel, and you got to fight bosses and gather supplies and stuff to build up this hotel. And you actually build up the area yourself. So it's like a building mini game. I fucking spent about 20 hours just doing that. It was fucking awesome. Yeah, I just love this game from beginning to end. I can't actually think of any negatives at all in this game. It just was a pure joy to play. Just that exploration, the turn-based combat, old faces coming back. Lots of nods to fans of the series, even though it is very welcoming to newcomers as well, because you don't really need... It is its own story, really, but as I say, it does bring back old characters and give...
Would you get more out of it if you've played the originals?
Oh, 100%. But if you haven't, I think you'd still really enjoy it.
I'm still trying to go through the older ones first before I get onto these. RPG. With the RPG though, Webby, can you actually just like grind and level up, or do you have to just keep doing it? If you see what I mean.
Well, put it on Nubenstein mode, mate, and then you do need to grind a little bit. So, but there's always really good places to do it, and the game does let you know in its own way. So you'll get to a point in the game, and you will always unlock kind of a tower, but it'll be like an apartment building or something like that. And it's like you need to get up. You go up the levels in the tower, and then there'll be like every 10 floors there's a boss, and it will say, "Are you sure you're ready for this boss?" And then and it's just kind of like your grinding zone, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, I like that in RPGs. That's the thing I like, because
You're
what I
advanced in the
tend to
game
do a
at that
lot.
point.
What I like to do a lot of these games, I'll get to a certain point and think, I'm struggling a bit here, and then I'll just spend 5-10 hours just grinding, leveling up all my stuff, and then I'm a bit overpowered, and then I could just blast through the story of the game.
Yeah.
But a lot of games now, they stop you doing, like, they level everything with you type thing.
Yeah, whereas this doesn't, it's
that's good.
It's very traditional in that aspect, I found. So
isn't there like 4 of these? Because what's the Like a Dragon and the Ishin games? What's the difference?
So you got the Like a Dragon games, which are this new character. So there's 2 of those. And then you got the Yakuza games, which are the other character. And then you've got that. The name's just escaped.
Man who erased his name.
Yeah, well, that's in the. Yeah, that's a kind of a crossover.
We've got Judgment.
And then Judgment, that's the word I was looking for. And Judgment, which is its own game where you're a detective, but again, it does bring back old characters as well. So, and then you got Ishin, as you've mentioned, which is like set in feudal Japan. I think that's Ishin, isn't it? That's the feudal one.
Yeah,
that's the one I bought recently for like
game.
13 quid.
Yeah, and then you've got the pirate one coming this year as well. So they do these weird spin-offs, which are hilarious. But no, I really enjoyed this game. Just as I say, the exploration. It felt like being on holiday. It was really weird because, excuse me, they held down the vibe so well. Like you'd be walking down the beach and everyone would be sunbathing, and I feel like, I like the sounds in the sea. It's all awesome. And then all of a sudden, this little crab will appear. And then you got so one of the side quests is to save this little crab. Like this man's trying to catch this crab to eat it. And then you save the crab, you beat up the dude, and then the crab becomes your pet throughout the whole game. And then he becomes like a summon move. It's really bizarre. But it's all these weird things like that, and all your characters are fully customizable as different classes. You can change all their outfits, and it's just a really wacky and cool game. It's even got like a side mission that's crazy taxi in all but name. You're on a bike, you're delivering pizzas, but it is, if you replace, it's just literally they've replaced the crazy taxi car with a bicycle. You know what I mean? It's mad. So, yeah, I just love this game from start to finish. And it is a worthy number 3. And I'm going to shut up about it now and move on to
Very nice. My number 3 is one that's been mentioned already. I'm going to put Astrobot.
Astrobot, number 3 for Graham. Thank you very much, Graham. Fantastic game.
Liked it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was good. Yep. Very, very good.
Excellent. I think we've talked about it enough, though, so we'll go on to Nick.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so my number 3, I only just finished playing it recently, and I know Webby loves it, is Alone in the Dark from last year. I'm still not really sure if this is a reboot, remaster, reimagining at all.
I'd say.
Yeah, because it's got some...
based.
Yeah, I think it's got some characters from the originals, but I think it's a different story. I think. I should have probably investigated a bit.
I don't really remember. I mean, I played the original back in the day, but...
Well, there was one on PS1, but then there was one on PC even before, like, the first Resident Evil came out, because they used the, the fixed camera angles view in the first Alone in the Dark, so Resident Evil kind of copied that for its gameplay and things like that, which is pretty nice. But I mean, I just really enjoy it. It's basically, it plays the same as Resident Evil 2 remake. It's the over the shoulder, and there's 2 different characters though. You've got Emily and Edward, and that's played by Jodie Comer from Killing Eve. You know her, and David Harbour from Stranger Things. And I think he was in a few other movies as well recently, but I think most people know him from that. And those 2 characters are probably the most famous ones, and they actually look pretty good, and the facial animations are pretty decent. I'm not sure, this didn't get the best reviews, and I'm not sure why.
I actually enjoyed all of the game,
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Except, well, I enjoyed everything in the game apart from the combat.
What was wrong? I liked the combat. It was okay.
It was jank. It felt like it was that sort of combat from back then, if it were.
Yeah, well, it was old school survival.
I think
It felt the same as Silent Hill, really.
and the way it was done, and then it got to the combat, and you're like, oh.
I thought the combat. I mean, maybe they've changed it since I've replaced it recently. Maybe they've done it slightly, but I thought the combat was decent-ish enough. But then, like I say, sometimes I suppose you could say sometimes when you shoot, it zooms in a bit too close, and you have to keep, the person in front of you. But I thought that's like a deliberate, survival horror style of thing. I mean, you use the like the melee weapons, they're a bit iffy because sometimes you'll try to hit the monster, with your melee item, and it'll hit everything apart from the monster you're trying to hit. That's not good. But I just enjoyed it because there's a few callbacks. Obviously, I like Resident Evil games and survival horror and things like that. And also, like I said, you play as two different characters. So did you play as both of them, or did you just play it through as one once?
I think he's talking to you, Dan.
I just played as the woman.
Yeah, well, you can actually, you do, well, I suppose you don't need to, but you do play as through two different stories. Majority of it's the same, there's a few extra cutscenes, but Chapter 4 is completely different, like a completely different area, so it's definitely worth a second playthrough. I mean, you could bang through each story in about 4 or 5 hours each. Obviously, the second playthrough will be a lot quicker than the first one because once you know where, all the puzzles and where to go, you just run through it a lot faster. But yeah, I mean, I got this I think about 15, 20 quid in the summer because that's it's really cheap. But I just really enjoyed it. For some reason, it's on 2 discs. I'm not sure why.
Oh, I don't know. Is that what did you get it on PlayStation?
Xbox.
Oh no, yeah, I've got the Xbox One, and it's on 2 discs, but it doesn't seem to be any reason.
No, it didn't ask for disc 2 to install. Maybe if you're offline, it asks you to install disc 2, maybe, and because you just put disc 1 in, it just downloaded the latest version. It could be that, I don't know, but yeah, I've just really enjoyed it. I mean, the story is pretty, basic. I think it's been done in movies a lot because you get to a big like a mansion or manor, you're going to see Jodie's uncle that's in an insane asylum, and he's gone missing when you get there. It's must investigate, and she's brought along David Harbour, who's like a private investigator, so obviously you have to investigate. He's gone missing. Everyone seems a little bit odd, which they would be if you're at a insane asylum and things like that. And I don't really want to spoil it, but if you've seen Shutter's Island, then you'll know what a lot of the things is. But I just think it's just a good old style of game.
Do you think it got unfairly bashed then?
I don't know why it got bashed. It seems, but the review scores are all decent, 7-ish out of 10. Okay. I don't know why it didn't sell that well and got bashed. I don't know if it came out the same time as someone else, or I don't know why it got the hate it did or didn't get the sales. But
okay,
I think it's a really decent game. I mean, I'll play it again. I'd play this before I'd play Indiana Jones.
Well, that's saying something. There we go.
Yeah, I'm not saying a lot because I hate Indiana Jones, but
yeah.
Ooh.
Cool. Thank you, Nick.
Oh,
Darren, your number 3 then, please.
My number 3, Space Marine 2.
Ooh. Clark, he'll be happy with that.
It is just a fantastic game. It has its moments of annoyance, but I find that more in the fact of what I like to call the back for blood effect, where the game just decides to fist you, and there's not really too much you can do about it.
Where games have
the random AI director, arcade
Right.
mode and all the storyline and everything's fine, but when you're doing the operations, some of those can go like absolutely mental, and you're just like, come on, game.
Did you play this like solo or with people?
I played through the campaign, some of it on my own, some of it with a friend, and then we went through it again with someone else. And you really enjoy it when you go through it the second time after playing operations. It's kind of feels different.
Okay.
In a way, because you're not going through levels that are random.
Right.
So you're going through an actual scripted load of certain things that are going to happen as you're going through, more like a storytelling thing. Although that does happen in some of the operations anyway. But as far as games where you've kind of had those moments where you're like, fucking yes, like that's definitely up there in games I've played that this year. And you generally always have a moment like that every time you play it. Just easy sort of gameplay that works. It didn't have to be super long, the campaign. It's sort of like 6 to 8 hours, maybe.
That's about perfect length.
But some of the latter parts are fantastic, and it visually looks great as well.
Yeah. It is a game I would love to pick up to play co-op. I just knew that no one came out and said to me on the Discord or whatever.
It's
yes,
cross-play and everything, mate.
I know, but no one actually explicitly said, Webby, I will go through the campaign with you, because until someone says that, I'm not buying it, because I've bought so many fucking co-op and multiplayer games that no one wants to fucking play, and they just sit there. I just feel like it's a waste of money. But it looks amazing, and I would love to go through it with someone. So, yeah.
But yeah, I almost love the operations more than the actual campaign.
Oh, right.
Because you go through it, and I appreciated the campaign for what it was. It was a spectacle, and it sort of really got you immersed in the universe.
Yeah.
But then when you go into the operations, you get levels that can have random events and different enemy patterns on them. Going through, you then get to pick a class. You then get to unlock perks for that class.
Yeah.
Upgrade your guns. Choose perks on your guns to decide like whether you want it to favour cooldown speed or reload or something, or do extra penetration on the shots. You just sort of like working on a character, and you're upgrading their armour and looks, and you can buy different. There's so many different chapters in the game, like the colour schemes and stuff for them.
Nice.
You can end up with some pretty badass looking characters just storming the battle, like where you're mowing down hordes of enemies and brutalising them.
Excellent. It looks like a good fun game, man. I mean, I have actually played some of it solo, if you know what I mean, but I need to buy it to play it online. Good fun.
It sort of looks like it'll be a Game Pass game.
It does, doesn't
when
it?
It does hit Game Pass, like, rejoice.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of like Gears games or simple old shooters like that from the past, that's all it needed to be.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be a 50, 60 hour campaign of something. Like, they just did it the way it did, and it works. Yeah. And people are happy with it.
That's what I like to hear, mate. Awesome. Thank you very much. Right, top two then, I guess, guys. Right, number two for me then. Oh, such a tough choice between these two. Oh, bloody hell. The volume just went on my game and just blew my ears off. Number two then, Metaphor Refantasio. Number two. Yes. Obviously, you've heard me bang on about it loads recently, so I'm not going to... It is a very recent game. I only finished it about a week or two ago, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here now. But all I'm going to say is it is one of the best original JRPGs I've played for a long time, because it is a completely brand new original IP, and that is what I like to see in the gaming sphere, not just sequel after sequel after sequel. Yes, it is made by the same devs that did the Persona games, because It copies a lot from the Persona franchise with the turn-based portion of the battle system, the personas, and the day system. However, it is a brand new IP, brand new game, set in a fantasy world with, elves and goblins and fairies and all that good stuff. Took me a long time to finish, 86 hours. Loved every minute. Well, I would say I loved every minute of it, and this is why it got put down to my number 2, because I was really thinking about this. And even though I love the game, the story was fantastic. The world is just stunning. The world map, the way you travel from place to place. I've never seen that in a video game, because time is actually moving as you're traveling. But I love it has that little narration. So it does it like you see the map in like top-down 2D style, and you see your vehicle moving on the map with the little arrows, a bit like how Indiana Jones does it. But there's a narrator who narrates about the place you're going to and gives some of the history. And I fucking love little things like that in games. It just makes for better world building. Yeah. And it's just, it all comes together so well. They've put so much effort into the world building on this game, because, as I say, the world map is full. There's loads of little side places you visit. You even get the history about that. Your team might stop off on the way and talk about some other things. And it just feels so rich and diverse. It's just so cool. And what I loved about the story as well was it's about your band of characters all coming together. You're all different races and from different parts of the world, and you're all coming together for one cause. And it's just done in a way that's just, it resonates with you. Like it has a purpose, and it's just, I love it, absolutely loved it. The only negative I will say is, and it might be my fault a little bit, is I did pretty much every side mission in the game, and that involved going to a lot of dungeons in different areas of the world, and I did a lot of that in one kind of hit, so it started to feel kind of very repetitive, because a lot of those areas are very similar, designed in the same way. And I just got to a point where I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, not another one. But apart from that, the story, like, this is the cool thing about the story, right? This might be a good or a bad thing, depending on how you feel about it. I thought I was at the end of the game at least 4 times. I thought, this is the end of the game, this is the final boss. And then something happens and you're like, oh, this isn't the end of the game. And then I ended up playing for like another 30 fucking hours after the fact. You know what I mean?
Were you happy about that, or did you want it to end?
Part of me was like, oh, but at the time I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, will this game ever end? But then I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like, the twist in the story were just like...
Do you remember? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Just going back, do you remember with a certain game that came out? I'm trying to think. Was it 2 years ago now? I don't want to name it because there's a slight spoiler, but basically you go through it, and after about 40 or so hours, you roll credits and everything's kind of dealt with.
Yeah.
And then a brand new opening scene starts, and it goes into the second half of the game, or the second part of the game, with its own brand new intro movie and everything. And
did I play this game? Was it an RPG?
Yes, you did. Yes, it was an RPG.
It wasn't near, was it? Near.
No, it might be in a series. It's in a very well-known JRPG series that you have played and enjoyed many of their entries.
Message me in the WhatsApp because I'm having a brain fart right now. Because I will know it when you... Excuse me. When you say... I have a bit of a coughing fit there. Yeah, so basically... Well, my train of thought was that on Metaphor was, at the time I was like, oh my God, this game will never end. But then I was like, wow, because the thing I like about this story is that it's not predictable. Like, twists and turns haven't happened. I was like, oh my fucking God, that is just batshit amazing. I love it. Yes, the game. Yeah, you just messaged me the game, Dan. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean now. Fantastic game, by the way. I believe that was in my top 5 that year as well.
I think it was in my top 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, but no, Metaphor ReFantazio, I think as a JRPG fan and a Persona fan, it's kind of like my mecca. I'm like, wow, that's just fucking nuts that they've done this. But I'm trying to think of, like, if I wasn't a fan of Persona, but a fan of RPGs, I think I would still like this game. But if I wasn't a fan of RPGs, it's hard to deduce, because I recommended this to Wes and he's not a fan of JRPGs, and he fucking loved this game. Absolutely loved it. He actually completed it before I did. So maybe for those of you listening who are not traditional RPG fans, maybe just check out Metaphor ReFantazio. Check out some videos on YouTube or something. It might pique your interest. I loved it. I think it's...
I mean, to be honest,
it's amazing.
You've got Colin to enjoy Persona Golden.
Yes. And Ni no Kuni.
Mm.
And I was saying this to someone in the Discord. You know that feel, like, I don't know what, like, when I played Ni no Kuni, I had this feeling inside, this warmth. It was like, I feel like I've entered this magical fantasy kingdom and it's amazing. And like, it just drew me, it sucked me in that game. I just, wow, still one of the greatest games of all time, in my opinion. This game made me feel like that kind of feeling of that magical fantasy world. It's not as a happy world in Metaphor, but just because it was so fantastical and the way it's portrayed and the way you have your storybook, which I'm not going to delve into because of spoilers, but all those, there's those similarities that made me feel that way, which is why I say this game is fucking nuts. It is so good. And I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending, I'm like, what the actual fuck has happened? That is just, you will not see it coming. I promise you that. That's all I'm going to say. Great game. I really this could have been my number 1 if I wasn't such a fanboy of the other game that you all know is my number 1 already by now anyway. But yeah, Metaphor number 2, fucking amazing game. Play it now. Webby out.
So my number 2 then.
Yes.
Well, my number 2 is one that's already been mentioned.
Oh, another one that's been mentioned.
Helldivers 2.
Ah.
Ooh.
I had a lot of fun. With this game. And I've got a mate who I play in a band with who is a bit of a PC gamer. We had a few evenings on this, sort of obviously, before the unpleasantness that occurred with PSN logins on PC.
Yeah.
So I've played quite a few hours of this game with sort of friends, with randoms. And I mean, this is just one of those games that sort of reignites my hope in multiplayer games, because everybody just sort of mucks in, gets on with it, and they're not there just calling each other a wanker, basically.
That's fair enough, mate.
just a good game. Just the best sort of multiplayer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I love this game. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, I can't play it at the minute because my PlayStation Plus has run out and I'm too tight to renew it at the minute. January blues and all that. But when it came out, it gave me that feeling of being on the Xbox 360 again. You know, that era where you're online and everyone's playing the same game. You know, I was at a point for at least a few weeks where I'd hop online on my PS5, and as soon as I was online, I was invited to a party chat and an invite to the game with people who I hadn't spoken to in years as well. And it was just fucking great because the co-op is seamless, drop in, drop out. The levels aren't too long. You get the option to do the side stuff, like to wipe out all the, the worms or whatever, the bugs, if you want or not. And it just becomes hilarious fun because I always bring in that mortar thing and everyone hates it because it always kills everyone. But it makes for some fun times because, for fuck's sake, that killed me again, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just such a simple idea, but it just works so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was a cheaper game when it came out as well. So
yeah,
what's not to love?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. It's cross-play with PC players as well. So it brings more people to the community, which I think is fantastic. So
absolutely, yeah, as a winner in my book.
Winner, chicken dinner. Definitely worthy of a top 5, I will say, for many people. So
definitely.
Yes. And it might even be in the community's top 5 as well. We shall see very soon. Woohoo! Thank you, Graham. Thank you very much. Okay, Nick, number 2, please.
Yeah, number 2, this was close, but that's basically gone Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill 2. Nice. Yes, what a game.
Close to the other one, but obviously, I played the original. Like, it's one of it's a really good game back then. But this, it just improves on that and remakes it, and it is one of the best remakes ever done. As it stays true to the original, makes it look better, makes it play better. Because obviously they've gone for the standard third person over the shoulder shooting and stuff like that. Whereas you think, I'm sure Silent Hill 2 played like that back on the PS2. I was like, no, it didn't. It was played like fucking junky shit. But this was a really early-ish, PS2 game where we still weren't sure, with the dual analog sticks, what did what. Mm-hmm. We were still trying to work out what button is run, what button is reload, how do you shoot, and stuff like that. Whereas this, it's just really modernised the controls. Obviously, I like to say how old school it was. You just go and explore. There's none of those yellow dots on the map. There is no mini map telling you what to do. Yeah. There's an actual map that you have to get out and look at to see where you go. And with this, just as some of the things that just made me smile, the detail, with me, it's try a door. Oh, it's locked. Not every time, but sometimes you'll try a door, it'll be locked. And if he's not holding a gun or something, and James, he'll just pull out the map and draw on the map to say, oh, that door's locked. And that's what he does on the map that you look at. There's just so many little details in things like that. And I think they did a decent job with the characters, most of them. I think one of them, Angela, just looks fucking weird, like she's been stung by a load of wasps. But yeah, other than that, the atmosphere is really good. It's just, like I said, I'm glad it done well. Apparently it's done really well sales-wise as well, because it's just telling people, look, this is what games used to be like.
Yeah.
And it's not broken. It's not full of DLC. It's just a decent game. And, hopefully this gets... I wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't, get Konami going again. I think the best thing you'll get is they'll start outsourcing more of their, IPs to other people and get stuff like that. It was weird that they went straight to Silent Hill 2, because I think 1, you could still only play that on PS1, and that's in desperate need of a remake.
I think it's also why, because they're doing the exact same thing, aren't they, technically, with Metal Gear?
Yeah, they're going to 3.
Although it's the first one.
It's the first one, in the timeline or whatever.
Of the Metal Gear, anyway, to that point.
Yeah, and pretty much between 2 and 3, that seems to be everyone's favourite game. I think the only criticism, maybe, even though it's kind of supposed to be like that, the game's just a bit too dark. As in, you can't see... I know that, you bellend, but you can't turn the brightness up. You turn the gamma up, and it just gives everything that weird haze.
Well, you know what, mate?
Because you shouldn't be having it that bright. It should be.
I know. And it's just, it's like, I understand, oh, look, you're in the really dark section, but like, you're in a room which is fully lit and it's still dark as hell and you can't see anything. It's
you know what you need, Nick?
What?
You should have got it on PC because there's a mod to make your flashlight brighter.
Oh, yeah, I know that. And they've done, like, brought the old costumes back and things like that. But yeah, this was a gift on PS5, so
that's fine.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, if for me, I could only find one thing to moan about in the entire game, you know it must be a good game.
Indeed.
There you are.
Because I only tend to moan about constantly.
Yeah. Yelling at clouds, Nick. But there we go.
Yeah, I do yell at those clouds for being so fluffy.
No, I must say, I do agree with you because I played through this game, absolutely loved it. And as remakes go, this is probably one of the best remakes I've played, to be fair. And as I say, I love the old school vibe to it because I say there's no waypoints or anything like that. You got to explore and
and the radio buzzing in your controller is freaky as the first time that happened. That scared the shit out of me. We were sitting in the living room and the girl was like, "What's that noise?" I was like, "I don't know." Oh, it's coming from the controller. Whew. Fucking hell. But yeah, not a game you want to play in the dark on your own.
No, I played it during the day.
Or maybe it is.
Put the Sunny Hills mod on.
Yeah. Take all the fog out like they did in the HD collections. That'll ruin it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Nick. A worthy number 2. Darren, to you, my good friend.
My number 2 is Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail.
Oh. I've already mentioned
Not quite fantastic enough to obviously take that number 1 spot, but there was a reason for it.
What's that?
Well, obviously what my number 1 is.
Well, we'll talk about our number 1s in a minute. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Dawn Trail was my number 2. I enjoyed the story. I didn't understand what people were on about. I was sold exactly what I thought it was going to be. Your character going off and not exactly playing a major role in what was going on, because you're sort of like going there on vacation and like your character's earned a little bit of respite after all the shit they've gone through, I think. So I liked most of the characters in the storyline that sort of played out, and there was one issue I have with one of the zones now looking like shit due to the story, and that really pisses me. Like I've mentioned it countless times, but every time I go to that final zone, I'm just like, I remember when this place used to look amazing, and now it looks like this. Fucking great.
Yeah.
Get me out of here. But yeah, they went for emotion and stuff, I guess, with it. And not everyone was kind of down to that, because we said before, the sort of theme for this story is about dealing with loss and moving on.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happens to almost every character in that story.
But, it does go to show,
sort of way.
As I mentioned
but it's
earlier,
done in a nice way. Yeah.
The game is 12 years old now, and it's still going strong, and they're still pushing out great content, which I think is fantastic.
I mean, the players' numbers have sort of dropped a fair bit, and loads of people are making a huge hubbub. But that just generally happens anyway. I still remember when people were like panicking before, and then we ended up getting like 2 really amazing expansions, one after another.
Yeah. Well, it's like World of Warcraft has its ups and downs as well. You
need your low points. You can't have like big, great, fantastical storylines that sort of like don't have any kind of sort of like reasonable build up or earn their payoff.
Yeah. Awesome. Final Fantasy 14. Darren's number 2. Fantastic. All right, we're at our number 1s, people. This is the exciting point of the podcast. Number 1s and then the community's top 5. I hope you're as excited as me drinking my glass of whiskey, because these are the ultimate games of the year. Woo!
How much whiskey have you had?
A little bit.
The whole
Right, let's
bottle
go
by
for
the
it.
sounds of it.
Let's go for it, people. Let's go for it. And this game, and you fucking know that what this game is anyway. There's no need for me to hide it any longer. Game of the Year 2024 official, no fucking competition. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh yeah, bitches. Number one game of 2024. Boom.
Mic drop.
This was... Oh, Peebs. Peebs has subscribed as well. So I've just had Frosty and Peebs subscribe. Peebs is happy that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is number one. Boom. Peebs has now said that he is going to purchase this game for his PS5 because he is now a PlayStation fanboy.
And he started a hype train in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, he started a hype train. I don't know. What the fuck is a hype train? I don't know. But
if more people subscribe, they get like emotes and stuff.
I don't have any emotes.
Oh, well, I don't get no emotes then.
Oh, Peebs, you know what? This is really good for the trophies, so I think you should get it. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out early on. I think it was around February time, 2024. Yeah. So it was an early release, and I've been looking forward to this for a long time. As everyone knows, massive Final Fantasy VII fan. Anyway, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS Plus.
I think it was. I don't know if it still is.
Oh, okay. But anyway, this is a huge open world. So basically, it's a sequel to Remake, which is the first portion of the original Final Fantasy VII, up until you leave Midgar. And this is leaving Midgar up to a certain point in the story, which I'm not going to spoil for those people that haven't played a game that's like 20 odd years old. I love this game from start to finish. I know people moaned about the graphics options and the 30 FPS mode and stuff like that. That actually didn't bother me at all. I played it on graphical mode on my big TV downstairs, and I just loved it. Okay, I'm going to say the one negative would be the amount of side shit there was in the world to do.
Oh, Chadley can fuck off.
Chadley. Chadley. Peebs, it's called a chocobo. Keep up with the lingo. Peebs is like, oh, he's riding a big bird. I don't know what he's on about. I'm going to put it to there. There we go. So, yeah, so that's the only thing that I found frustrating. Apart from that, all the locations in the world, I thought they had recreated really well for a 3D environment. Because if you remember, PS1 era Final Fantasy VII, it was kind of those pre-rendered areas, and I think they've done a really good job on expanding them and just putting you in that in the world, which was really, really awesome. Story-wise, they have changed up a few bits, but I actually quite enjoyed them. It's really hard to talk about the story without spoiling it for those people that have never played a Final Fantasy VII game. I will say one of my highlights was going to Costa del Sol and putting Tifa in a bikini.
Pervert.
I know, I'm a huge perv. I'm trying to find that on the video, but...
Did you make her wear that the rest of the game as well?
So what happens is, you could, like, when you leave the area in the story, they automatically come out of their clothes, their big bikinis and that. But once you finish the game, you do get the option of just putting them in any outfit you want. So, top tip. Peeps, how the fuck... Woke? Fuck off. Peeps is in the Twitch chat saying it's woke. Fuck off. No, it's really well done. And as I say, what I loved about it and why it's my number one game of the year is they did such a good job of designing the open world. Pretty much, mostly, like they did change a few things from the original, but mostly 95% of it is pretty much true to the original map. They did move the location of the Temple of the Ancients, though, Darren, which I noticed straight away, and it really upset me. But apart from that, like, I remember, like, I was like, some dropping moments for me was I was exploring the world map, and you get to a point where you can see the city of Junon in the distance, and basically it's a big city with a gun like coming out of it, like a massive cannon. And obviously in the original, it's the PS1. It's kind of like those pixely, shitty graphics. In this, you're in the open world. You can sit in the distance, and you're getting closer to it. And you're like, my jaw just dropped. Like, fuck me! Like, they've done such an amazing job with the graphics.
You know what that guns was originally used for as well.
Yeah, and 100%, mate. So we'll see in part 3 what happens. But no, I mean, obviously, I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan, and I was very, I had a lot of trepidation for this trilogy series of 7, because obviously the original game is, my favourite game of all time, has such a special place in my heart, and they could have easily fucked this up. But remake, I loved, apart from a few changes, but this one, Rebirth, I could go back and replay it tomorrow and be really happy. And it's just such a great open world.
Coming out on PC in a couple of
weeks. I'm not buying it again. Even though I did replay remake on PC for the mod, so I might redo it at some point, but not yet. But no, it's just great. Graphics are good. The gameplay, I really love the change up in the gameplay they've got. It's very action heavy instead of that ultra traditional turn based. It has kind of that, has the action, but you can use your magics and stuff like that. It's really fast and fluid. I really like that. And I'm saying just the world exploration and the story was really well done. And certain scenes in the game, like you get the theme park in there, and there's some certain scenes that happen in the main story that didn't happen in the original, but they got put in really well, and I fucking loved it. Like, there's a certain section where Aeris does like a song, but it's kind of interactive. So fucking good.
You said her name wrong again, Webby.
No, that's her name. It's not Aerith, it's Aeris. It always will be. So, yeah, I don't know what else I can really say about it without spoiling the story. It's just the best game I've played in 2024, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Amazing story, amazing graphics, amazing open world. PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's coming to PC in a couple of weeks, and probably will never hit Xbox, unfortunately, but there we go.
There are rumours that it is again.
But, it's just rumours.
Eventually they're going to get the first game as well.
It's too little too late, in my opinion. Remake. I think most people that have wanted this game have already bought it on another platform. The Final Fantasy series is a series that I will buy a PlayStation just to play the series, and a lot of us fans are in that same kind of mindset. So that's all I can say, man. Absolutely amazing game. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Game of the Year, 2024, bitches. Here we go. The only game that matters, baby. And then it's going to be Game of the Year 2025 because it's just come out on PC. What's coming out on PC in a couple of weeks? So it's going to be Game of the Year 2 years in a fucking row. Boom! Mic drop. Move on.
Wow. And everybody was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
So my number one, again, is a game that has already been mentioned.
Bloody hell, man.
Yeah, Warhammer Space Marine 2.
Oh, cool.
Clarky will be mega happy with that.
So if anybody wants somebody to play this with, because I had a mate who had this on his Xbox, and I had another mate who had it on PC, and they're like, "Oh, we're playing tonight," and I couldn't get a copy. So I actually own a digital copy of this game on my hard drive.
Well,
I have no excuses. So if anybody does want to play the campaign with this, assuming I'm in, because I tend to be out too much, I'm basically, if I'm online, I can basically jump into it at a moment's notice because it's on my hard drive.
Well, give me some notice and I will purchase it and we can play through it from start to finish. How's that?
There you go. Like it. But no, this game, again, it's like everybody sort of said, it's got that sort of, it just feels a bit like a Gears of War, but it feels different enough to be its own thing. And it just looks fantastic. I mean, when you see the aliens swarming over each other in the background, in the distance, it's really, really impressive.
I think this is a game. I'm surprised actually that Peebs hasn't picked this up because this seems right up his alley. This game because he loves the Gears game. No, he doesn't have it because I have mentioned in the past. Did you want to do some co-op on this? And he was on the fence, I think. So I think if he picks it up,
it is really good. It is really good. It's very slightly different in the way you play it. In that, I think it's kind of more melee combat than actually shooting. For the focus,
right? Yeah,
and like Darren says, when you're playing it, if you happen to be with bots, then they tend to get largely ignored, and everybody just decides to attack you all at once.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's just a fun game. It looks amazing, and it just plays really nicely.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pick it up. Because it's quite cheap on CD keys now, like 32 quid.
There's going to be new content coming to it soon as well, and they're adding a horde mode as well this year.
Nice.
I believe that's for free as well.
And also, I like the fact the devs went on Twitter and said that it's old school and it has no woke nonsense, and that just, I love that when people come out and say that shit. It's cross-play, Peebs, so I can
it's
pick
full
it up.
cross-play every platform.
Yeah, so I can pick it up. Oh, is all of it cross-play, like even the operations?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
I think there's a section that isn't. Is there normal multiplayer on it, like versus or whatever?
There's a multiplayer versus in it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's not cross-play, but the.
Oh, never mind. Worst part.
But yeah, the campaign and the operations are. Yeah, I'll pick this up on PC, man, if people are up for playing it.
Because I've played it against like people on PC or Xbox or whatever constantly. And
yeah. Well, no one plays the normal mode on these games anyway. It's all about the co-op.
Yeah,
I'm up for it. I'm 100% up for it.
Well, there you go. That's my game of the year. Mic drop.
Boom.
Also, I think it's one of those games that encourages in operations and that especially like good team play.
Yes.
Like when I play the game, I don't go out for kills. I go out to disable enemies for the people at the front to then be able to execute to keep themselves sustained. Yeah. Because I'm sitting at the back of the area with a big LMG or something or a sniper rifle. Your idea is to provide cover for other people, but you'll occasionally end up in games where someone runs off and picks up all the med kits. But more often than not, you're just like, no, you're going to be in the thick of it. You take the med kit.
Right, yeah.
Kind of thing. And when the team synergy plays off really well, it's super satisfying.
Nice.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you very much, mate. Nick.
All right, I might have cheated a little bit.
No cheating allowed, mate.
Resident Evil 2 PS5 Disc Edition. No,
how the fuck does that even No, when did Resident Evil 2 come out?
No, I'm taking the piss. That's 5-year-old game, 6-year-old game. No. Some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, obviously.
Oh, a man after my own heart.
I mean, it's like, I haven't had a game like this for a long time where it's like, day one, I'm getting it, I'm installing it, and I'm playing it. You know, I'm getting home from work. I don't care that I've worked 12 hours. I'm playing this game. I think it came out on 29th of February, so it came out on like leap year, because we waited, 4 years since the last one. And it's just like, yep, got to play this game, because, I mean, it's it's a remake. It's the remake everyone has been asking for what, 20 odd years?
Yeah.
20 something years. I think the only one left now is Dino Crisis. And just when we get so many crappy remasters of like 5-year-old games, like Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, that looks exactly the same as what it did, on PS4, and they want another 70 quid for it, and like Last of Us, it's just, when you look at how this looked on PS1 to now, it's a full-on remake, and it's just like tapping into like our nostalgia and memory, and just thinking like, oh, look what this like you said, Robbie, when you like see Junon like in the distance, you're like, oh, I know where I'm going, look at that. Oh, and it's just like some of the really good bits, like you said, the Costa del Sol and the Golden Saucer, man, Jesus Christ, the details on some of those, like when you go like you're staying overnight in your little horror
Ghost
room.
Hotel, yeah.
It's the detail, like everywhere you look in the room, there's just like little things like that you'd know from like all different Final Fantasies. Like you look behind the door when the door closes, and there's like a little Tombury statue. And you're like, no, don't do that to me, and just stuff like that. And it's just like, but also like you didn't mention it on the web, it's just the music.
Oh, so good.
Just like it's just like, I know they're technically the same / remixes of the older games, but these were just like some of the best music ever made.
Well, I went to the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth concert at the Royal Albert Hall with the London Philharmonic.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know that the tickets were on sale for that, by the way.
I did. I put it in our podcast WhatsApp group at the time.
No, didn't. You told me you've bought tickets for it and they're sold out.
I remember telling in the group chat, I said to Darren as well. Yeah, because I said, Darren, these are going on sale on this date, and Darren wasn't that bothered. So I just went.
I wanted several personal reminders and phone calls. Yeah. Anyway, I couldn't have gone anyway. But yeah, it's just like I say, some of the stuff, and also the thing they done. I don't care about spoiling an old game. Whatever. How they handled the death of Ares and
Spoilers.
Things like that. Yeah, I don't give a shit. And it's just like, is she dead? Isn't she dead? Who knows? And because we're going into full-on, alternate realities. Yeah. Is she going to come back as a ghost? Because she was kind of there as a ghost. Or is this happening? Or is this the start of Cloud with his Mako poisoning starting to go mental? That's just like, I like the stuff that they've been adding to it and the little changes, because they're not changing it just for the sake of changing stuff. They're changing it because they know that we know they're changing it, and there seems to be a reason for it, and that's why I was like, And like I said, it's very similar to the remake with this one. If they get this right, this could be like one of the best like remake games ever. That it's a remake and a sequel at the same time. Yeah. So it's just really clever what they're trying to. I don't know. They might completely piss it up, but hopefully they've got all this written down from day one, and they don't Kingdom Hearts it and just make it overly complicated for the next one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But just like I said, there's not like, of all the games I've got, like my games of the year. Yeah. I've played them like months, sometimes 6-7 months later. Yeah. Whereas this one, it was like, I'm pre-ordering it, I want it day one, installed it, played it on the day. And I don't do that very often with games anymore. Yeah. But so official game of the year.
Boom. To Darren.
Just down to me left, is it?
Yeah.
Well, again, my number one has already been mentioned.
Yeah.
And my number one is Silent Hill 2.
What?
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, she never fucking played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
No.
That picture you sent with all those games from this year, and they're still in the plastic. You've got a top 10 not opened games of 2024.
Yeah, a lot in other people's top 5 lists.
Yeah. Oh, that's annoying.
But
Just think how much money you'd save, Darren, if you didn't buy them at launch and you bought them when you were actually going to play them.
It doesn't always happen, and it's one of those things where I want to support a game when it comes out.
Mm.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
enough.
that's fair.
If someone puts out a product I want to buy, I want to buy it. Like I just want access to it whenever I want access.
Yeah.
I mean, if he plays it this year and the PC version comes out this year, he could have it as 2025 Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
right.
no other game this year kind of got under my skin like the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a game that was kind of on my radar, and obviously there were slight worries with like what direction are they going to modern day it and all that kind of stuff. And it got nearer to the date, and you get a little bit of that. Oh, I don't know. I could really do with playing a game like that. I haven't played a sort of survival horror-y type one for a while, and it looks like it might be really well done. And God, I'm glad I picked that up. It's just so well done, so atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
You feel physically sort of kind of disgusted traversing some of the areas in that game.
Yeah.
The detail and stuff on, like I said, like the rust and the mank and the disgusting sort of creatures and stuff. It's generally a pretty well made, disturbing game.
Yeah.
And I really want them to do more. I really do. I'd like them to do Silent Hill 3 remake next.
Yeah, I think that's a fan's favourite between 2 and 3.
And I think that's why they chose 2, because it's a more well-known game. More people talk about it. They'd know they'd probably get a little bit more hype. Plus, it gets them away from the Silent Hills kind of thing. Was that going to be a Silent Hill reboot?
Yeah.
Didn't Silent Hill 3 come out really late on PS2 as well, so it didn't sell well at all?
Reasonably late, but it's really well beloved. There's still a lot of people that like The Room, and that I don't think did particularly well. I could be wrong, but I knew a lot of people didn't really sort of talk about it as much as like the others, like Silent Hill 2, etc. So it was just nice that a game that I remember sort of like being me feeling a bit disturbed while playing it all those years ago. I was still getting that feeling when I was playing the remake.
Did you like the bit where you had the memory sequences, like the like where something would have happened in the original, which doesn't happen in this one, but like it sort of zooms. Yeah, it's like a little nod, and it's like, oh, we know that you know something happened here in the PS2 version, but we're just going to acknowledge that it's happened somewhere else or something. And you're like,
that's still one of the trophies I need to get. I'm going to try and go for the platinum in this because I do really enjoy it. But
nice.
I've done 2.5 run-throughs.
Wow.
And I'm kind of like, I don't want to do another one just yet, so I'm going to sort of give it time to sort of like settle, and then it'll be one of those ones to go back to, and because of how well it's made, I'll always appreciate going back to it.
Nice.
Which is the stable of a good game.
So, Final Fantasy Rebirth is Game of the Year because you're outvoted, guys. Two of us have got the same game, so.
Oh, it's in each of our own individual
Maybe I want to change my 1 and 2. Is that okay?
No. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to go through my honourable mentions very quickly and then go through the community games. If that's okay, read out some people's top 5s, and then I think we're pretty much done. So, honourable mentions, games that didn't quite make it into my top 10. Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown. I know it got slammed, but I fucking loved it. And they've just done an update, and they've added some portion of Hawaii. It's like the city area. And I mean, I put about 40 hours into this game. I really enjoyed exploring the island. Graphics are really nice. Performance is a bit choppy, but as I say, I wouldn't recommend this to most people. But I just really had a good time with it, so I just wanted to put it out as one of my honourable mentions. Indiana Jones, Silent Hill 2, another couple. Stalker 2 didn't get a mention by anybody. I've not finished it. Played about 15 hours. Really enjoyed that. Good fun time. Balatro is another game that I enjoyed a lot. And it actually was a lot of people's game of the year online. But obviously, a little indie game, pretty much like another take on poker. I still play it quite often on my Steam Deck. It's also on phone and consoles, etc. Good fun. And Sword Art Fractured Daydream. I know Darren isn't really as into it as me, but I just really enjoyed playing it online and stuff when the servers were full. I don't think it's very popular anymore, but yeah, good fun. Okay. That's my honourable mentions. Okay, I'm going to go through some of the community. I'm going to read out some of the people's top fives. And then I'm going to give the overall community top 5 games. Okay? So let me just read out some people's. I'm not going to read out everyone's because there's too many, but just a selection, just to get them out there. Darkest Frost's top 5. Number 5, Helldivers 2. Then Space Marine 2. Then Into Black. Then Batman Arkham Shadow. And then at number 1...
That's the VR one.
Yeah, Metro Awakening. So I think his top 3 are VR games.
Enjoy. Yeah. There needs to be some more called the VR stuff. I mean, that Behemoth comes out, I think, in February.
Yeah.
That might be interesting to check out. And I think there is a physical as well. So if there is, I will give that one a bish bash bosh.
Nice. What's my tag? Number 5, CFB 25. Is that college football?
Might be.
Number 4, Madden 25. Number 3, Red Dead Redemption PC release. Number 2, Astrobot. And at number 1, Helldivers 2. St. Adams, Astrobot. Then Destiny 2. Then a game called Undisputed. Never heard of it.
It's UFC, I think.
Oh, okay. Number 2, WWE 2K24. I think he likes his wrestling games.
I think it might be boxing.
And then number 1, Helldivers 2. Off to Pace as aka Wes. Number 5, Silent Hill. Then Balatro. Then Black Myth Wukong. Then Helldivers 2. And his number 1 is Metaphor Refantasio. Turner, number 5, Indiana Jones. Number 4, Stellar Blade. Number 3, Silent Hill 2. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And at number 1, Black Myth Wukong. Dodo. Yeah, good talk. Dodo has some different games. Number 5, Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars Reforged.
Yeah, why don't you champion this, whether you like?
I've not played it yet. I fucking love.
Oh, is it?
I love Broken Sword. Yeah, it's Shadow of the Templars. You know, the 90s game, but they've remade it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, come out a few months ago. It is on my wish list, but I haven't bought it yet. Number 4, Balatro. Number 3, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Did that come out last year? I need to check on that.
Yeah.
Number 2, Stalker 2. And at number 1, Helldivers 2. Clarkey. Number 5, Call of Duty. Number 4, Batman Arkham Shadows. Number 3, Indiana Jones. Number 2, Metro Awakening. And number 1, Space Marine 2.
I think the 2s are doing pretty well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Helldivers 2, Space Marine 2, Silent Hill 2, technically Final Fantasy Rebirths are 2.
Yeah. I'm only going to read out a couple more because we are running out of time. Gavlar, number 5, Star Trucker. Number 4, Indiana Jones. Number 3, Black Ops 6. Number 2, Farming Sim 25. And his number 1 game, Darren will be happy with this, First Descendant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to read out a couple more. Mr. Jelly, number 5, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Number 4, Crow Country. Number 3, Balatro. Number 2, Helldivers 2. And number 1, Conscript. There's some interesting games there. Something different to the usual lot we've had. Bolo, number 5, Warhammer 40k Battle Sector. Number 4, Balatro. Number 3, Last Epoch. Number 2, Farming Sim 25. And his number 1 was Path of Exile 2.
You see, that's a tempting one. I was thinking of having that as like an honourable, but it's...
What, Path of Exile?
Kind of, yeah, it's kind of still in beta, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it only came out like at the sort of like just the beginning of December, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely one to keep your eye on that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been playing it recently, but it's still not on my... I'm enjoying it, but it's not grabbed me yet. Like proper. Anyway, let's read out Peebs's, since he can't come on the show. Number 5, Still Wakes the Deep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Number 4, Dead Rising Remaster.
Weird.
Number 3, Helldivers 2. Number 2, Black Ops 6. Number 1, Silent Hill 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice. Good choices there.
I think he had the same game of the year as me last year as well.
Ah, there we go.
Lies of P, quite possibly.
H-Doob, number 5, Black Ops 6. Number 4, Balatro. Number 3, Black Myth Wukong. Number 2, Thank Goodness You're Here. And yeah, I know, mate. It's 2 people with it now. And number 1, Path of Exile 2. Right, I'm going to read out 2 more, and that'll be my lot for reading out people's. Dragon 421. Number 5, Black Ops 6. Number 4, Indiana Jones. Number 3, Dungeons of Hinterberg. I've not heard of that one. Number 2, Stalker 2. And number 1, Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Interesting top 5 there. And last one I'm going to read out.
Everyone who sort of like did get that game seemed to think it was pretty decent, that Prince of Persia.
Yeah. I played the demo, I thought it was shit, but, you know. Each to their own. And last one, Vacant Monkey. Number 5, Company of Heroes 3. Number 4, Crusader Kings 4. Hang on a minute. These aren't all games that come out in 24. Number 2, Helldivers 2. And number 1, Indiana Jones. I'm not going to talk about... He's got Aliens at number 3, man. Dark Descent. That's well old. You cheated.
Isn't that... What was the... There's a recent Alien game, isn't there, that came out?
I can't remember the name of it. Right, anyway. I have collated the top 5 with help of an independent adjudicator. And these are the community's top 5 games of the year, as voted for by the listeners. Number 5, Path of Exile 2.
Oh.
Number 4, Metaphor ReFantasio. Number 3, Black Myth Wukong. Number 2, Indiana Jones. And at number 1, the community's ultimate number 1 game of 2024, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I joke. It's not. Yeah. It is the almighty Helldivers 2. Woo! We need to get back on that. Good times.
Have you played it since they did the last update with the new enemy type or whatever it is?
No, I do need to get PS Plus on the go again so I can play it.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember you saying.
So, yeah, those are the community's top 5. Really interesting pick there. Really enjoyed that. People getting that collated. And no Final Fantasy in the top 5 makes me sad, but a worthy top 5, I must say. Yeah. So thank you everyone who did vote. And yeah, I think we're at the end of the show, guys. What a year 2024 has been. Wowzers. I don't think we're going to see another great year for JRPGs like that for a while. So, yes. All good in the hood. Anything else you guys want to say before we end this epic 2.5 hour episode?
Don't think so.
Excellent. Well, on that note, guys, thank you very much for coming on. It's been an epic Game of the Year show. I've really enjoyed listening to your top 5-6 games of the year. And I look forward to doing it again next January for this year. So from all of us here, it's been awesome. Thank you, everyone who's listened live on Twitch and for joining in the chat. AJ Geezer, thank you very much. Clarky79, Blakey, Darkest Frost, Glossy Gloom, Nick Fights, Mr. Peebs, and I think there's a few others who've left now. Thank you very much for listening live. You can always listen live on a Sunday, 7:30 p.m, twitch.tv/Webby360G, or just listen on the normal podcast feed. Up to you. It's all good. So thank you very much from all of us here. It's been really awesome going through our top games of 2024. We will see you next week. Goodbye.